Big stories of the day. Jadon Sancho potentially doing a U-turn after the news yesterday that there was a total agreement with Juve. He's now seriously considering the Chelsea move. Osimhen could be on his way to Chelsea as well. Fabrizio has said it is in your hands, David. Do you think you're going to get both of these deals over the line between now and the close of the window tomorrow?
I think for some reason, I just think the Sancho thing is just going to happen because you want him gone, and we want Sterling gone. And I think the clubs are literally just going to look at each other and be like, we've now got to say, we just got to solve this problem. It's just got to be done. And then after that, I mean, I don't know, everything else, Ben Chilwell's probably getting up staying at the club. So that whole thing of like, oh yeah, we have these players that train separately. What is Ben Chilwell going to train separately for the whole thing for the next 6 months while we find him a club? I don't know. The whole thing is a bit, it can get a bit technical. But again, we still got 2 days, and it wouldn't shock me if we pull something out the bag. So I'm just gonna wait. Give me until the 30th of August when the transfer window closes. Then I can give my thought.
David, come on, give us the realist. How do you really feel about Sancho potentially returning to you guys? I don't know. I look at your forward line and I say there's too much. There's so many options. Does Sancho even fit in there? Is there game time for it? Does it make sense?
As someone as Dortmund's pretty much my second team, right? I love Sancho, and I just want to see him do well. The one thing I will say, he can't be worse than Mudryk currently. He can't be, because I doubt Sancho is going to get coached through matches. So he's an upgrade. He is technically an upgrade on the worst player out of the forwards. So me personally, I just don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. And plus, if we get rid of Sterling in the same breath, then I think it's a pretty good deal. Whether it's United or not, I just think offloading Sterling and then bringing Sancho, I think it's pretty good.
I think Sancho's a really good. I'm a bit worried about Sancho going to Chelsea, if I'm honest. I just in terms of, I'm worried about him doing well. Forget the banter from people. Again, if people think that banter impacts me once I'm off a stream, when I'm at home with my family, when I'm out eating dinner with my friends, think again. But I do worry that he comes alive at Chelsea. I do worry. I mean, he did very well at Dortmund when he went there, and I would be very fearful and worried and concerned of him going to a rival and doing well. For him as an individual, I hope he's successful where he goes. I feel that I've not been happy with his performances and some of the things he's done at Man United, but I didn't like the way the previous regime treated him, the way they exposed him to the media. I didn't like the way we handled it as a club. So I'd really like to see him do well in that regard. The only difficulty about the deal being done with Man United is essentially they're not offering any money for him. So they want to do a player swap. And that's about Man United then getting a deal agreed and getting Raheem Sterling in this case to agree to come at a cut price. You guys were obviously all in the group chat, and I didn't get involved earlier. I was busy with the kids, but Ches was sort of saying Man United haven't changed and we're a dusted club because we're buying one of their flops at the same time as praising his club buying one of Man United's flops. I just thought it was so ironic. I get that he rates Sancho and he doesn't rate Sterling, but that's subjectivity, not objectivity. And both clubs are looking essentially to give both players a big pay decrease and make them squad players. So the scenario is very similar. And I'm not against Sterling coming into Man United, as long as it's for a lesser squad status and lesser money. We're not going to play Sancho. Therefore, if we don't get rid of him, he is essentially going to have zero impact on the team because he ain't playing. If Sterling comes in on a lower wage than the £350,000 a week they're paying him, or 325 or 300, whichever it is, and play some, I think he'll score some goals for us. I think he'll help us win a few games. That's still better than having Sancho in the reserves as an example. So it's not the greatest transfer. It's not one where I go, wow, this is the savior of Man United. We've got Raheem Sterling. We're going to make the Champions League now and win trophies. But it's better than not getting rid of Jadon Sancho and having essentially a player that isn't going to kick a ball. The good thing with Sterling, unlike, I'm so angry with Mason Mount today, another injury. Forget Mason Mount's ability. His availability is the biggest problem that we've got because he can't play. And I tweeted this earlier. I'm so glad we've now got real football people running our club. because I don't mind signing players who may not be flavor of the month, the most fashionable for your first team, because squad players are always needed. But signing someone with the injury record he has, not doing the due diligence and not doing the study into what could happen, who's just been consistently injured, is crazy. The good thing with Raheem Sterling, physically, he's not crocked. We still see him run fast, beats players. His availability is good. So as long as we're not giving him stupid wages, 250, 300 grand a week, as long as he's aware that he's going to be a squad player, I'm happy. However, the only difficulty for Chelsea getting Sancho is they're not prepared to buy him. They want to do a swap deal. So there's a number of moving parts that kind of slow it down. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, there has been some breaking news this afternoon that Arsenal have sent a contract offer through to, well, returned a contract offer to Raheem Sterling's representatives that Sterling is happy to accept. So his reps have gone to Arsenal and said, we'd like him to come here. He's open to come in. Arsenal responded in the sense. I think they've done very similar to Man United by reading the bit. We'd be happy to have him here, but it would be for a squad status, not a first team player. And he's going to come in on 80, 100, 120 grand a week. Would you be accepting of that, Giuseppe? Would you be, if that's your final piece of business of the summer, bringing in Raheem Sterling to complete your squad build?
Final bit of business, I wouldn't be too thrilled, to be honest. But him alongside another signing, like say him alongside a Tony or an Osimhen, or we won't get Osimhen, but or a Gyökeres or something like that. Yeah, I don't think him as a solo player coming in, I don't think it's bad at all. I remember me and Agal going back and forth. He don't want Sterling, I do. By the way, I think for something that you said about his arrogance and his the way he is as a player, the fact that he's saying to Arsenal he's willing to take a big pay cut to join the club shows that maybe he ain't as arrogant as people think he is. So, listen, I'd take him definitely at a cut wage price, and it's on a loan. And now, I'll be honest, I think this, if we actually want him, I think this really throws a spanner in the works of the the whole Sancho thing, because I think Sterling would much rather come to Arsenal under Arteta than go to Man United currently. So for me, I think that could throw a spanner, because Sterling hasn't got no qualms in telling Chelsea, no, I want Arsenal and Arsenal only. Don't want to send me there, I'll sit here. They'll send him to Arsenal because they need him gone. And that's kind of the hole they've dug for themselves, Chelsea.
Like you said, I think for Sterling, the Arsenal move makes so much more sense. He's already in London. It's only like he doesn't have to move, doesn't have to relocate his whole family back to Manchester. I mean, like you look at the positions of Arsenal, Arsenal's in a much better position squad-wise. I feel like he'd get more game time at Arsenal, because you look at that right-hand side and the amount of fixtures we've been speaking about, the amount of fixtures there's going to be. Arsenal only have Reece Nelson at the moment that can cover Saka on that side. Now, let's be real. Reece Nelson's nowhere near the level they needed. And so Sterling's going to come in and think you have plenty of game time. He's already worked under Mikel Arteta. I don't know if people watched the City documentary, but him and Arteta actually had a good relationship. Him and Pep had an amazing relationship. So you must think, all this arrogance and so on that people say Sterling is actually problems. I don't think that's actually a thing. I think it's made up and has been made up for a long time. And I think Pep and Arteta, they had a good relationship. So that won't ever be a problem at Arsenal. I don't feel like he's going to come in and try and have any of that. And then you look at the fact that Man United is, although I think he could benefit, like Man United could benefit from the move to go there. He's going to be sitting on the bench for the likes of Diallo, the likes of Garnacho. The same problem that he's been having at Chelsea. He's been benched for players that are unproven, and probably he's looking at it saying, I'm better than these players. They're not going to score more goals. So I look at it and say it's a move that Arsenal have to make, because like you said, Giuseppe, if Arsenal don't sign anyone else, then your window has been a failed one, because this is supposed to be the window for you to push up against City, close the gap a bit. And there's 2 days left of the window. The options out there are going to be really thin, because you might look at Tony could be available, but Gyökeres, I don't think Sporting are going to sell him with 1 day left, unless it's going to be for stupid fees. So Arsenal, these are the type of options of players Arsenal have to look at and just, be like, let's bring him in on, at least they know until January they've got someone that can cover space, because right now they're going to be relying on the captains.
Yeah. The Gyökeres would have to be, I reckon, at this point, activate his release clause, which is, I think, just under 100 million euros. So it is big money for him. That's the only way. So I think and even the wingers.
Million.
What pounds?
Gyökeres.
Yeah, I'd still.
I don't think we're getting a striker, bro. they've been evident. They've continuously said we're not getting a striker. We're going to get a winger. We're not going to get a striker. We're going to get a winger. So I think at this point we're so late in the window. The only two realistic options, three options, is if somehow Nico Williams has an epiphany and says he wants to come to Arsenal all of a sudden. If we go for Kingsley Coman, who's very injury prone but can make a big difference, and he's also going to have to take a pay cut if he wants to come to Arsenal. And then the third option is Raheem Sterling. Now, if it's true that Raheem Sterling was at Hale End over a couple of days ago, taking photos with little kids that are part of the academy and stuff, a photo surfaced of him at Hale End, that Arsenal might have already met with his people. And in that situation, I could see a possibility where he comes. And Giuseppe, I know I didn't want him, and I still don't, but I do think it's a situation where it will happen. It probably will happen. That's most likely the more likely of the three. Nico Williams not going to happen. Kingsley Coman could happen, but what's the chances he lowers his wages from 325 million euros to something reasonable? And we also pay a transfer fee to Bayern, who don't really want to let the player leave on a free. And either way, both of them are probably going to be loans. I don't see us agreeing a transfer fee with Chelsea unless Chelsea dramatically drop the transfer fee, plus Raheem Sterling drops his price. It could be a loan.
I mean, Chelsea can't be charging you much at all, because Chelsea have stated again today via Maresca that he is not going to play any minutes. If they keep him, it's a £70 million black hole. He's through bonuses and wages in the next 3 years. They owe him £70 million. They're better off letting him go for free than they are keeping him. Financially, you're better off letting him, and it won't be free. It will be a low amount of money, 5 million, 10 million, 12 million. But just to get him off the books, his wages are a bigger hindrance. They start asking 30, 40 million pounds. Again, I don't see Arsenal saying you're going to be a squad player, you're going to be a backup, you're going to be on 80, 90, 100k a week. But yeah, cool, we'll 30, 40 million pound for you. It's not going to compute. So I think you're right in that regard. I see this happening. I see it happening as well. And I will say this, a lot of people, the more I think about it,